Alright, so you might be trying to upgrade an ordinary receptacle like this one right here, and you want to upgrade it to either a GFCI like this one, much thicker in the back, much deeper into the box, or one of these new fancy ones that has the charging ports built into it for your mobile device, also much thicker. But then you find out that your box in the wall is just a little too shallow. You're having to shove everything in there just a little too tight, and this is just barely wanting to fit in there. Or the other scenario is you might want to add another light fixture or a ceiling fan or something like that, and you need to take this single gang box and replace it with a 2-gang box like this one right here. I'm going to show you how to remove this box with minimal damage to your drywall coming up right now. Alright, so before you start any project like this, be sure to turn off the power. You don't want to be doing this with anything live. I want to show you what you're going to find inside of most walls. That way you have a visual idea of what the dangers are and what not to do. So you're probably going to have a nail-in box like this. This is a standard box. People use this one as the most common box. Now that's what this video is going to be about, is how to remove a box like this. If you have a metal box, like a handy box like this, or it can even be a plastic box that has a metal bracket going across it, that's going to be more difficult, and that's also another video. But this is typically what you're going to find right here. You've got a wire coming in and a wire going out to another receptacle. The one coming in is supplying power, okay? So you're either going to have some cable separators like this, or these wires are going to be stapled right to the 2x4. So I've seen people try to use a Sawzall on this, and you can, but here's what can happen. See, I've got the box pulled back from the wood just a little bit right here so I can show you. But if you put your blade in there, even with a short blade, if you can tell, the back of the blade is coming back here and it's hitting the drywall. If there was drywall here, if you had another room, you're likely to cut the drywall on the other side with a Sawzall. The other thing is, if these wires are stapled to the wood, they might be right against the wood like that, and then you're going to hit that wire with the Sawzall blade. So I don't recommend using a Sawzall for this at all. But let me show you what I do recommend. I'm going to get the drywall back on, and I'll be right back. So once in a while, you might have a situation where you've only got one set of wires and one ground wire in the plug to deal with. Yeah, that's the ideal situation, but most of the time you're going to have at least 2 sets of wires, if not more. So what you need to do is undo all the wires so that they're all individualized again. If you've got some neutrals like this underneath a wire nut with some pigtails, you'll have to undo that. Just whatever, you have to separate all the wires is the point. You may or may not have looped wires like this. If you do have a looped wire, you just have to straighten that out so it'll go through the back of the box much easier. I'm using lineman's pliers right here. And if you have a ground that's crimped together like this one, you'll have to get rid of that crimp sleeve. If you've got a green wire nut, that's perfect. That's easy. Just undo the green wire nut. But a lot of times you're going to have a crimp sleeve like that. What I like to do is take a pair of lineman's pliers, and you can kind of go opposite. The way that it's crimped is this way, so I'm going to go the other way, like so. Hopefully that'll loosen it a little bit, and just wiggle it back and forth and pull if you can. Don't pull too hard. There we go. Came right off. Just undo the grounds. That's good. Everything's separated. Now we're ready to cut the nails off. Now one of the things that you can do is use a hacksaw like this. It's kind of got this little nose sticking out right here. This is not ideal, but it will work if this is all you've got. It's like $15 for this thing. But what you want to do first, before you try to saw the nails, is kind of jam something in there. On the 2x4 side, we can see the 2x4s right here. Kind of jam that in there and just give it a little pry, just to break the box loose just a little bit. What that does is it'll make a space in there for your saw. And you can go like this and saw. Just be careful not to ram the saw into the drywall. That'll work if you've got all day. Kind of like trying to break out of jail with a file, trying to file the little bar, you know. It'll work, but it's not ideal. What you really need is a zip tool like this, an oscillating tool that's got a metal cutting blade. You can put that up in there and cut. Let me show you. Alright, so I wanted to mention that if you're planning on upgrading this to a 2-gang box because of a light fixture or fan or whatever, you don't really need to cut the nails. You'll have enough room to pry the box loose and get it out of there. So now's a good time, if you wanted to do that, to go ahead and hold up the box that you want to use. Maybe stick a little level on top of it like so, and then draw out your pattern for your box, and then cut it out with either a drywall saw like this or an oscillating tool if you have one. But we're not doing that. We're just changing it to a deeper box, so we're not going to do that part. Let's go ahead and cut our nails right here. We know there's a nail at the top and one at the bottom. That went pretty easy. Now we can kind of tilt our box like so. And pull it down so that the wires come out. Just like so. Alright, so we've got a couple of options on what we're going to put back in there. We can use an old work box like this that has the wings that come out behind the drywall and it tightens up that way. Or we can use this smart box like this that has 2 screws that go into the stud. I kind of like these smart boxes. They're a little bit more expensive, but I believe that they're easier to work with for me. You'll want to take a screwdriver and kind of open up these cable clamps right here before you go ahead and push your wires through. And then we'll go ahead and do that. So it will take some degree of patience to get those back in there. And we'll go ahead and screw that to the stud. Let's go ahead and twist our grounds back together. And we'll give it a new crimp sleeve. Now our new outlet that we're going to use, I'm not going to go ahead and install the outlet, but I just wanted to show you. We've got our hot side and we've got our neutral side, but there's only 2 screws on the whole outlet. Then of course we've got the ground screw down here. But we've got 2 sets of wires, so the obvious solution is to put pigtails on these. Then we'll have 2 wires for the outlet, and then we'll still have our continuing power to the next plug. So I kind of like to use these ideal 3-port connectors right here. They're very cool. All you do is push in the wire and they're reusable. So we've got our neutral one, so we'll go ahead and do that. And I've just made these pigtails right here. I kind of pre-made them already. And that's it. We've got our 2 pigtails for our new plug. I'm going to go ahead and push all that stuff back into the plug, and then we'll have our setup for our new outlet. So that's how I would replace one of these boxes. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching.